Welcome back to Apex Sci-Fi. In the vast biological catalog of the stars, life is almost always synonymous with warmth. Most sapient species evolved on garden worlds where the temperature fluctuates by only a few degrees throughout the year. To the rest of the galaxy, the ideal operating temperature is a steady 28 degrees Celsius. If it drops to 15, they begin to slow down. If it drops to 0, their cellular processes begin to fail. To an alien, cold is not just a season, it is a wall. It is the end of movement, the end of thought, and the end of life. They view the frozen reaches of the universe as vast, empty graveyards where nothing but machines can survive. But humanity did not come from a garden. We came from a world that tried to freeze us out a dozen times. We are the children of the ice ages. While the rest of the galaxy was basking in the heat of stable suns, our ancestors were shivering in caves, hunting mammoths in the snow, and learning how to turn our own internal metabolism into a furnace. We are endotherms with a high-octane metabolic rate that allows us to maintain a constant internal temperature even when the world outside is screaming at 40 below. We don't just survive the cold, we have mastered it. This is the story of the Battle of Frost Point, and why the galaxy learned that if you want to hide from a human, the freezer is the last place you should go. The Xylos hegemony were a reptilian species of immense intelligence and technological power. They relied on external heat to keep their blood flowing and their minds sharp. When they invaded the outer colonies, they used a simple but effective strategy. They would strike, then retreat to the most frozen, inhospitable moons in the sector. They knew that no other alien military could follow them into a place where the air itself turned to liquid. They built their fortresses on Creo Prime, a moon where the average temperature was negative 60 degrees. They sat behind their thick ice walls, confident that they were untouchable. Commander Krall of the Xylos sat in his heated command center watching the sensors. "We are safe here," he told his advisors. "The humans are tropical mammals. Their skin is thin and their blood is water. If they attempt to land, their vehicles will seize, and their hearts will stop before they reach our gates. The cold is our greatest ally." But Krall did not understand the human heart. He did not understand that to a human, a blizzard is not a barrier, it is cover. On the third night of the siege, the sensors on Creo Prime began to malfunction. The Xylos attributed it to the extreme storm outside. But then, the perimeter cameras caught a glimpse of movement. Through the howling white wind and the driving ice, shapes were moving. They weren't machines. They were moving with a fluid, organic grace that no robot could replicate in those conditions. It was the Terran Mountain Division. They had landed 5 kilometers away and walked through the storm. They weren't wearing massive heated power suits that would have shown up on thermal scanners. They were wearing layered, high-tech wool and synthetic insulation that trapped their body heat inside, making them invisible to the Xylos infrared sensors. The Xylos guards on the walls were shivering, even inside their pressurized suits. Their movements were sluggish, their reaction times delayed by the bitter chill that seeped through their life support systems. They looked out into the whiteout and saw nothing but death. Then the humans struck. They didn't come with glowing energy blades. They came with silent, high-tension crossbows and ceramic knives that wouldn't shatter in the cold. A human soldier leaped onto the parapet, his face covered in a frost-covered mask. He was moving at full combat speed, his muscles warm and supple despite the negative 60-degree air. While the Xylos soldiers struggled to lift their weapons, the human was a blur of violence. Krall watched the feed in absolute disbelief. "How are they doing this?" he screamed. "Their blood should be ice. Their lungs should be frozen." What Krall didn't see was the biology of the predator. Inside those human bodies, the adrenaline protocol was firing. Their blood vessels were constricting in their skin to keep their core at a perfect 37 degrees. Their muscles were generating heat through microshivers and intense activity. The humans were literally burning through their body fat to stay alive, turning their own calories into a weapon. They were the only creatures in the galaxy that could generate their own hell to survive a frozen heaven. The humans breached the command center. When the doors hissed open, the sudden rush of freezing air caused the Xylos officers to collapse instantly, their bodies going into thermal shock. The human commander stepped inside, his breath coming in heavy, steaming clouds. He looked at Krall, who was huddled near a heat vent, paralyzed by the cold. "You thought the frost would save you," the human said, his voice muffled by his thermal gear. "But where we come from, we call this Tuesday. We spent 10,000 years chasing our food through the snow. You're just the latest thing on the trail." The Xylos surrendered. They realized that their high-tech shields and plasma cannons were useless against a species that could outlive the weather. They realized that humans weren't just soldiers. They were a biological force of nature that had been forged in the harshest winters of the Sol system. Today the galaxy has a new name for the elite human cold weather units, the Hell Freezers. They are the ones sent to the ice worlds and the dark side of tidally locked planets. They are the ones who prove that as long as a human has a heart, they have a furnace. In the Interstellar Almanac, the entry for Earth has a new warning. It tells travelers that while the planet looks beautiful from space, 1/3 of it is a frozen death trap that the locals consider a vacation spot. It warns that if you ever find yourself on a world where the sun doesn't reach, listen for the sound of boots in the snow. Because the humans are coming and they don't mind the cold. This has been Apex Sci-Fi. The galaxy may be cold, but we are the fire. If you have ever felt the rush of a cold morning and kept on going, hit that like button. You have the ice age in your blood. Comment below, what is the coldest temperature you have ever experienced? Subscribe. And remember, winter is just another season for the apex predator. Internal temperature stable. The blizzard is our home.